And that is a great role for your team, for maybe your newbie agents or your dedicated ISA, because that's their job, making sure that no lead is left behind. No lead, I should put that in the back of my office here. No lead left behind. That's what the ISA is there for. That no one falls through the cracks.
If the only times that I call you are times when I ask you, who do you know that wants to buy or sell, would you really believe that I have your best interest at heart? Probably not. And so no matter what story I'm telling, you're not believing it. And then I always leave this one for last. This is authenticity.
Hi guys. This is Sandra Cribb with Next Home to Palmetto State and serving coastal South Carolina. And I am here today with Gus Castro, and he is with PowerISA. And he is here to give us some awesome information as always. And so Gus, today, what is our topic? What are we going to be talking about today?
Yeah, definitely. We're talking about a great topic, 5 ways that an ISA can help blow up your business right now.
Well, let's start with number 1.
All right. Yeah, definitely. And, I want to talk a little bit about, the importance of kind of talking about these things, because I get the question a lot, right? And it comes in different forms, the question. It's usually, Gus, what should my ISA be doing right now, right, to really move the needle? Or they'll ask for best practices. Gus, the teams that are killing it with inside sales agents, what activities are they doing? What's their daily schedule? Or we're talking about prospecting, we're talking about like outbound, cold calling, cold prospecting. Which one of those is working the best? Because a lot of those campaigns, it is true, a lot of them are seasonal. There is some campaigns that work better depending on where you are, what the market is doing. Because I can tell everyone, if you're on this call, expires and FISBOs are the number one thing people talk about when they're doing cold calling, but those are challenging to do right now, right? Because we have such tight inventory in most markets, right? We're in a big inventory crunch. I wish there were more expireds out there to call and to bring in. I wish there were more for sell by owners. Some markets are going to get 1 or 2 a day. Some markets are going to get 1 or 2 a month for sell by owners, right? So yeah, it's a really challenging kind of a problem. How do you best allocate that resource? How do you best make sure that your ISA is doing the best thing possible? And that's where the idea came for this talk, right? How can we get people some value? How can we suggest the top 5 ways that your ISA can move the needle and get some results for your business? Really, really important to start with. And that's kind of the preamble, right? How do you get the most out of that resource? And that's kind of where we're coming from. And I can go back to your suggestions there. Number one, I'm going to go from the more obvious ones to some of the less, oh, wow, I can do that. Because the first one, you've heard this before. The number one thing your ISA should be helping you do on your team, day in and day out, is owning speed to lead. Owning speed to lead. And what do I mean by that? It means that if you're buying internet leads or you generate online leads via social media, organic content, your YouTube videos, you prospect Facebook groups, you drop a link in some of these Facebook groups or Facebook Marketplace, right? If you don't know what that is, Google it, find Facebook Marketplace. Great way to get attention. You can drop a link there for people who want to go to look at homes, want to buy a home, whatever it is. That's a great way to generate leads. No matter how, think of it as a big funnel, right? You're just trying to get people into your website, into your CRM from all of these different sources, right? It doesn't matter which ones they are. It can be social, paid advertising, organic. It can be Facebook Market, whatever it is. They're coming in. The key thing you can do to increase your likelihood of talking to them and converting them into a client is speed to lead. That's the first thing. That's the very first thing. And if you've got your CRM set up for conversion, as soon as they come in, they're going to get a message from you, like a text message or an email, or both, preferably, right? Boom, Sarah, thank you so much for connecting. I got your message from fill in the blank, Facebook, or wherever it came from.
Mhm.
Awesome. Do you have time for a quick call, or does texting work better for you, right? Because nowadays you got to be open to the leads that only want to do messaging, and that's cool. That's fine. I used to be a big like, don't do that. Get them on the phone. Start wherever the lead is at. Start wherever the lead is at, right? So you've got the people coming in, and it's your ISA's chance. It's their job. It's their goal to reach out to them as fast as possible. That is what the goal should be. And you have to have some kind of way to measure this, right? And usually, if your CRM works with a dialer, integrated with a dialer, you have the ability to measure this, right? The time the lead was created, the time the first call went out, right? And some of the CRMs do a great job of this. It's a little bit harder to tease this out, but you want to make sure you've got that, because if you measure that, whatever you measure in your business, something happens to it. It doesn't stay static, right? People are going to be, if people are bonused on that, if they're measured on that, if that's part of how you hold them accountable, that speed to lead metric is going to get really good. It can get really, really good. We've all heard of that, MIT study that was done a decade ago that said, if you contact a lead within 5 minutes, right, your probability of converting them goes up 4 times. You're 4 times more likely to convert them if you call them within 5 minutes. What people kind of a lot of times don't mention from that same study is if you call them within 30 seconds, that probability doubles. You're 8 times more likely to contact them and to convert them, right? So those, for the folks kind of rolling their eyes, I totally get how that sounds, right? Contact them within 30 seconds. Realtors have jobs, they have lives. You're on appointments, you're negotiating contracts, you're responding to a client text message. You can't always do this, and it's not realistic to get anywhere. Forget 30 seconds, 5 minutes, right? To make that happen, unless someone is on your team and it is their job to make it happen. It's not possible, guys. You can roll this out to agents and your administrative assistant and everyone else. There's always going to be a reason that they can be busy, and it's a good reason. It's a good reason because they have other responsibilities. ISA is unique, and that can be 100% the reason they're on your team, to make sure those calls get made, or even better, inbound calls, right? You've got signed calls. You've got a lot of these services that hand out leads, and they want a commission, a referral at the end, right? Whether it's Zillow Flex or Ojo or HomeLight, whatever those kind of services are, those phone calls come in, and you better pick up, right? Really, really important. Zillow Flex, if you don't have a 50% pickup contact rate with those leads, you don't get those leads, right? They don't mess around with that program. So even more important to have someone on your team dedicated on that phone, ready to pick up whenever it's necessary, or to make that call whenever it's necessary. It's a big impact. The consumer expects this now, right? They call it instant gratification. 90% of your inquiries are coming from people on their cell phones nowadays. That's an average number, by the way. In some markets, it's even higher than that. But at the lowest I've seen is maybe 80% coming through mobile, but it's probably average going to be 90. And in some markets, it's above 90% of people are on their phone. They click on something and they don't want to wait an hour for someone to call them back or to message them or respond to their message. Maybe you've got a great text message going out immediately, but do you have anyone to have a dialogue with them, respond to them, right? For texting, it's not speed to lead. It's speed to response, speed to respond. Right. So they're going to text you whenever they want. It's different than call, right? They're going to text you whenever they want. But they don't expect you to respond whenever you want. They actually want a response pretty quickly, right? So speed to lead on phone call, speed to response on text message. Someone has got to be there, and it is their job to reach out as soon as possible and start the sequence, right? That's the beginning of that follow-up sequence, okay? And that's the second thing your ISA can do effectively for your team to really bump up your conversion rate. Folks, some of the average conversion rate for internet leads in the US, I don't know if you want to take a guess, Sandra, it is not a great number. It is not awesome. It's actually less than 1% of your internet leads, and mostly talking about Google and Facebook. The majority of internet buyers, Facebook, less than 1% is the average, The teams that have systems and processes in place to effectively do speak to lead and effective follow-up, they can do 3 to 5% conversion. That is 3 to 5 times, actually more than that, 3 to 5 times more successful than the average team. For some team, it's 10 times more than a team right down the street. In my market, Seattle, Washington, a real estate team would buy a lot of Google leads, would have about a 0.5% conversion rate on their internet leads, right? It was a 0.5%. They measured it, and they had other people helping them pay for it. They had the whole setup. Same area, different team, almost a 5% conversion rate on their leads. What was the difference? Effective follow-up. Speed to lead, definitely number one. But after that, folks, not every lead's going to respond to that first call. That's just a given. Somewhere between 90% of them are not going to be converted on that first touch, on that first call. More than that for a lot of leads, right? They're just not going to pick up at all. They're not going to be responsive. But that's where it gets difficult. It gets hard because, you know, as agents, how fun is it to sit down every day, do your scheduled follow-ups, and make 10 calls in a row with no one picking up? How fun is that? Not very fun. And a lot of people give up on that, right? They do it for a couple of, oh, this person's not picking up. That is the mirage. That is the frustration you feel because you're lacking that instant gratification. And we have a lot of data to back this up. The teams that get 3 to 5%, we had a team in LCA telling us it was 7.5% for them, 7.5. Now I'm sure there's other factors. That's an amazing number for me. You get 100 raw internet leads, you get 7 deals within 6 months. That's amazing to me, right? But even if you're half that, not even go to the highest possible one. Get some of those high performing teams. It's because they understand that it doesn't take 1 touch, 2 touches. The data shows us that it's at least 8 or 9 touches to get a response, at least. And at PowerISA, when we're doing our follow-up, especially with Facebook leads, they're notorious to be hard to get them to contact you, respond. Notorious. We would do 16 touches in 30 days. 16, because on average, 8 or 9 would be enough. But we couldn't deal with that. We had to get as many as we could to respond. 16 touches within 30 days is going to get you a 50% response rate for Facebook leads. 50%, right? People are like, oh, that's super low. That is not super low, not for Facebook, not for Facebook. I'm talking about maybe leads that are further down the funnel, like Zillow, Realtor.com. Those leads cost what they cost because yes, they do pick up the phone more often. Yes, they're a little bit further down the funnel than a lot of these leads, for sure. But I'm talking about, I'm using the most extreme case, Facebook. Those are the hardest to get on the phone. Calling and texting, alternating between the two for the first 30 days, 16 times, and you're going to get a chance to talk to them 50% of the time. If your follow-up doesn't look like that, something like that, then there's no way you're going to make this work. You're going to be at that 0.5% conversion rate, maybe even less than that, right? So you have to understand how that works. Effective follow-up is probably one of the hardest problems for most real estate teams to solve. It's very difficult, right? And you can get out the whip and like whip all your agents every day, make those calls, make your calls. Agents are great at making that first call. They're especially good. Yeah, there's the second one too, right? But you get 3 no answers in a row, and I can see the motivation drop, right? They get discouraged. They'd rather do follow-ups with people they've spoken to in the past. Like, let me do follow-up with Sandra. Well, we spoke a couple months ago. Let me see how things are going. Let me check with her. I know she's going to pick up. So agents naturally going to do that. They're going to gravitate towards what's going to give them a reward in the shorter term. I'm going to follow up with that hot lead that said to follow up this week with them. They didn't pick up on Monday. Let me call them again today. Boom, boom, boom. Make that follow-up. But try to get them to make the 6th, 7th, and 8th call on a brand new lead that has been unresponsive. And it's just not going to go well, right? It's not going to go well. And don't feel bad about your team. Don't feel bad about your coworkers. As an agent, everyone deals with the same thing. This is not unique to any one person, one team, one category of agents. No, everyone struggles with this problem. And every single team that has made the decision to not accept less than that 3 to 5% conversion rate has a solution for speed to lead and has a solution for effective continuous follow-up. And a lot of those include INC. It's a great way to solve that problem, right? Really, really important to understand that. And a ton of people ask, Gus, what's more important? calling within 30 seconds or doing the follow-up? What? I hate that question. When you ask it, I hate that question because it's either or. I want both, right? I don't want to settle for one or the other. But that being said, you're gonna get more conversion off the follow-up than if I had to pick one of the two, which is a crazy question. I'm gonna pick one or the other. You're gonna get more out of that longer term if you're making those calls, even if you take an hour to make that first call, right? And I've seen the data set up. I've seen that data. The long tail of conversion is real, guys. The long tail, not everyone gets converted off the bat. Whoever has a more effective follow-up game is going to win. They're going to win because they're going to keep in touch with those leads. And sometimes folks go, oh, but they're not picking up, it's not going anywhere. Then always remember to mix it up with your follow-ups, right? If they're not answering in the mornings, try in the afternoons. If they're not never answered, picked up on your line, have someone else call them with a different line, right? Give them a call, not a problem. On my team, I have a sales team at PowerISA, and we do the exact same thing every agent does, follow up with leads, lead follow-up. Whenever, my sales team loves switching out the leads. Hey, I've got 10 uncontacted leads I can switch out to you. Do you have 10 for me? Great. They reassign them to the CRM and they follow up with them, right? And you'd be surprised when people are going to pick up when there's a new number out there. It's really real.
Right. That's funny.
It's real. Anytime we have a new piece of content to share with our audience, anytime we have a promo, it's a great reason to follow up with the pipeline, a whole pipeline, right? Let them know, hey, guess what? Gus just released a new video with Sandra about ISAs. Guess what we're going to do following up this next week? We're going to be hitting up our pipeline with that. Even uncontacted leads. That's a crazy thing, right? Even your uncontacted leads get that content because I don't judge them. I don't know what's going to get them to respond, Sandra. I don't know. I try everything, right? What you shouldn't do is do 18 follow-ups straight at the same time, same day, same number, and just call. Don't do that, right? You're being a little bit obstinate there. You're closing off these doors. But I think follow-up is almost like a topic we should do in like a whole separate webinar, but I'll leave it at this. Mix it up, try different numbers, try different methods, and try different offers, different carrots to entice people to ask, hey, what's this about? What is that? Hey, what about that? What do you mean, you got this home sold for 87 offers, right? Oh, what do you mean that you're only seeing 2 offers in this last property? People want to know these things, get their attention. And great content doesn't just belong in your newsletter or on your Facebook page. It should be in your follow-up. Great content should be in your follow-up, right? So an ISA can make sure that, hey, I made a great piece of content, Mr. ISA. Hit the entire pipeline with this content, please. Whether it's texting them a link, emailing them, give them everything. And let the pipeline know that we just did this. Let the pipeline know we just saw this in the marketplace, right? We had a property that went under contract. It took 3 days to go under contract. It took 2 days. Oh my goodness! Wow, newsflash, right? Better get moving. Better get that property listed. Whatever it is, let the audience know. And ISA can help you make sure that's done to your entire pipeline. It's a really great way to do it. Not just doing all the steps, but helping you with that mixing it up aspect of it. It is so important to make sure you do. We're following up. Don't make it mechanic. Don't make it robotic. And if you're not getting results, mix it up. Trust me, we do. Okay. Awesome. The third way, number three. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing great. Perfect. Number 3, because number 3 is a good one. This is a really, really good one. Another way your ISA can help bump up that business is we've been talking so far with steps 1 and 2, not steps, options 1 and 2. We've been talking about inbound internet leads, right? That's what we've been focusing on. They're coming in, call, text, convert those new people. Don't let them off the hook. Keep following up. That's great. What about people that are already in your business, right? What about Sphere and the friends and family? What about those 1,500 older internet leads you've got in there because you started doing Facebook a year ago or 2 years ago or whenever, right? Well, I've talked to agents that have thousands of people in their database, right? And I'm a database guy. I love database. I always distinguish database into 2 chunks. One is your Met database. People that if Sandra calls them or texts them or shoots them a DM, they're gonna go, oh, it's Sandra. How you doing? They're gonna know who you are, right?
Right, absolutely.
Friends, family, past clients, acquaintances, members of the PTA, gardening club, whatever it is, they're gonna know who Sandra is. Great. Those belong in this bucket, right? There's another bucket of your unmet database, which is everybody else on the planet. Like 99.9% of people alive, yes. And it also includes those internet leads you've got, right? You either having contact with them or you never had a substantive conversation with them. All of those folks are part of your unmet database. And I don't like to mix the two, right? Because on the one hand, those unmet leads, you might have already tried to contact them 15 times last month, right? Because they're unmet and you want to start a conversation. Your met database, you never do that, right? You never call, there's no reason to, right? You don't have to get their attention that intensely. There's no need to do that because they already know, like, and trust you. It's a very different kind of a process. But if you got both, most people have at least the met database. A lot of folks have a lot of leads in their unmet database, right? That you want to get them in your met database eventually. You want to get them down there. They're not there yet. And guess what? Another really crazy fact, guys. A lot of people give up on these old internet leads. They're not going to go anywhere. They haven't picked up in 3 months. I haven't talked to them in 6 months. It's rare that people keep in touch with them. Usually it's the swamp, called the swamp leads. It is, where they're going, the big bucket on the bucket of uncontacted leads, right? And there's a reason the teams that do this at the highest level, they don't just drop them in the swamp, but there is a swamp follow-up process. The main reason, folks, and I get this a lot with Facebook. So I don't want to harp on Facebook. Nothing against it. Just the one we work with the most. It's the one that's the most popular. A lot of these Facebook leads are going to end up in the swamp, right? And one of the main issues people have with Facebook leads is, they're too top of funnel. I don't want to deal with them. They're way too far out. No, there's a lot of complaints about that, right? And I've proven that 10% of those inbound internet leads from Facebook are willing to talk right now within the first 30 days. They're willing to actually take a call with you, 10%, which means 90% either are not ready or you haven't even talked to them yet. 90% are not going to be ready to go right away. My opinion, the juice is worth the squeeze just for that 10%, but you've got 90% left, right? And here's the punchline, Sandra. Here's the punchline for everyone listening. So people, it's crazy for me that people don't want to call these old leads because they're not going to do anything. But 6 months ago, they were top of funnel. They were just getting started. They were scratching the surface of the process. What do you think is going to happen 6 months down the line, right? So one of the things that can happen is they're no longer getting started, right? They've been thinking about this further. They've talked to their banker. They've filled out an application online for a mortgage. They've started looking at the listing sites, looking at property, right? So the further along they get, I want people to switch that mindset and switch that limiting belief that old internet leads are no good, right? Old internet leads, particularly the ones from Facebook and Google, there's a high likelihood that they're going to be more seasoned than before, right? And agents get motivated. Let me give these guys a call. Sure. And the call that we hate to hear in real estate is, "Oh, Gus, thanks for following up. I'm good though. I already bought a home." And guess what? I sold
Yeah, right. I'm a little too late.
and we all hate that call, right? We hate that call. And we don't want to get it. But guess what? I'm here to bring you the good news. It means there's people in that list that are very valuable, right? It means that those old lead databases are not garbage and they're not useless, right? You've got to find a way to follow up with them. And there's different tactics you can use. One of my favorite ones for those inbound internet leads, you can use your CRM to your advantage, not just to schedule the next call, but look at what they're doing in your CRM. Who came and looked at that listing today, right? Who's been active in the last 7 days, right? The last 7 days, and they're not on your scheduled follow-ups. They're not on your list already. Well, who else has been active this week? Let's see. Let's give them a call, right? And some of the tools, the technology out there does a really good job at this. Like YLocal is probably one of the ones that does it the best, where they basically want to light your house on fire when a lead does something, right? Like text message, alert, oh my God, this person, Gus, they updated their cell phone number on your CRM. Oh my OMG. Like, the only reason to do that is because they want you to call them. Please give them a call. And they almost beg you to do it, right? So they probably do it the best. But every CRM that has a back-end website to show you listings, which almost all of them do, they have this functionality. Let me see who's active on my site today in the last 7 days, in the last 30 days, right? That's a great way to follow up as well. That's a great tool to use. And almost every CRM has a version of that. And even if they're not active on your personal website, you should still call, because guess what? There's other websites out there. Don't just focus on the ones that are looking at your site. That's priority one for sure. But also make those calls. And I would go through the entire pond at least quarterly, at least every 3 months. You should call through the whole pond every 3 months. I know teams that do it every month. Every single month, and this, I know this sounds crazy for thousands and thousands of leads. Every single month, either because the new agent on duty, you got pond duty, Sandra, you got to call the pond to me, right? Like, boom, they go, oh my God, let me get on Mojo and make those calls. They know the pain so well of getting that call. Oh, I already bought a home center, I'm good to go. They know that so well that they're not willing to accept that. Like, if this person's willing to pick up the phone, we're gonna talk and let's see where they are on real estate. Let's see where they're at, right? And that is a great role for your team, for maybe your newbie agents or your dedicated ISA, because that's their job, making sure that no lead is left behind. No lead, I should put that in the back of my office here. No lead left behind. That's what the ISA is there for. That no one falls through the cracks. No one's there. No one's missing that, right? No one's there. And now that we're on the topic of no lead left behind, this calling your database can take a lot of shapes or forms, right? It could be your personal Met database. They can be calling to invite them to your next event, right? Sandra's doing, a Memorial Day cookout, right? Or or a Memorial Day giveaway, free American flags for your lawn, whatever you want to do that day. Your ISA should be hitting that database, past clients, friends, and family, letting them know, hey, Sandra, wanted me to follow up with you. I want to invite you to our next event, and we're doing this, we're doing that. It can be a virtual class, maybe whatever it is, right? But because the end of that script is the most important part. And as you know, Sandra wanted to help me ask you if you would, I would love your help in building up our business. Who do you know that's thinking of buying or selling next year? That's the end of all the scripts. It's the ask, right? Gotta make the ask. Your ISA, use your ISA, leverage your ISA to make sure that every single person in your Met database now, they get a call from you, they get a text message from you, and they get a timely response if they respond, right? To make sure they go to that event, confirm that they're attending the event, and then follow up after the event, right? And then how'd that go for you? It's like, awesome, that's great. Thank you so much for attending, right? Maybe you're gonna send a handwritten note. If you have an in-person event, people attend, you better be sending a note, thanking them for attending, right? So follow up, you get a note, I love that. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming to the event, right? So they should be helping you prospect that database, because you should be calling your Met database 4 times per year to invite them to an event, to do some kind of a giveaway, offer them some value. The ISA can help with that. The other way your ISA can help, and that no lead is left behind, a mantra, is make sure you've got to write down, if you're buying internet leads, wherever they're coming from, you've got to be sure that you are writing out your funnel, right? You've got to bring it down. I pay Facebook, they send me a lead, it goes into my CRM. If they end up booking an appointment, they go to my calendar, and then I'm going to go meet with them in person. And then if they sign, I write it down, right? What's every single step the lead has to make to become a client of yours? In every one of those steps, guys, it's not 100% of the leads make it to the next step. They just don't. 100% don't book an appointment with you, 100% don't attend that appointment, and 100% don't sign and become a client, right? It doesn't happen that way. There's people that drop off in every one of those steps, right? Your ISA should be helping you identify those people who dropped off, reaching out to them and checking in with them, right? Offering them help. Hey, Sandra, we had an appointment with you last week. It looks like you couldn't make it. I just wanted to follow up and see if you got your questions answered. I see here you were curious about first-time buyer programs or whatever it is, right? Did you get that question answered? I just want to make sure you got that question answered. Oh, I got busy. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it, Sandra. We're good. Do you have time next week to get that question answered? How about tomorrow, right? How about right now? Life transfer, whatever it is, right? So you're not going to get those people. We call, in our company, we call that appointment rescue, by the way.
Yeah.
Unattendable. Those have to be on your follow-up list, right? People that didn't attend. Sometimes people are, you're like angry at that. Oh, this person stood me up. I'm not giving them a call again. Don't do that. They are hand raisers. They are qualified leads that at one point in time want to talk to you, right? They should not be in the pond, my opinion. You should be following up with them for the next 30 days, for the next 60 days, right? Trying to see what went on and are their needs met yet, right? Follow up with them, right? So every step in your funnel has a version of that. The person that failed to do what you wanted them to do, they failed to graduate to the next step. That is another lead that you can have a leaky funnel. They can be falling off that funnel and not going anywhere. Understand what those numbers look like, because your ISA needs to be working that database. Anywhere they fall off, they're not lost. They go somewhere and your ISA is calling them and they're responding to those text messages, texting them, finding a way to reach out to them and to get them back into the funnel, the happy path, right? The direction you want them to go in, not where they fall from. So really important to understand that, because the top teams, they understand this, right? They get it. The money has already been spent to bring those leads to the pipeline, right? And if anyone will lose, is a lost opportunity, right? Get the most out of it. Do not accept that they're going to fall off and not be contacted again if they fall off the funnel. Reach out, reach out, reach out. Always with a customer service approach. Just checking in. I saw you couldn't make that appointment. Hope everything's all right. Did you get your question answered? It's not when you're going to call me again. No. Are your needs addressed? I'm here to help, right? Great. If they have, oh, you know what? Life gets in the way. Guess what, guys? Life does get in the way, right? And most internet-based leads, they have a 50% attending rate to those appointments. Best case, okay? I'm going to say that again. Most inbound internet leads are not going to attend that. Well, not most, at least half. I would say half, at least half are not going to attend those appointments that they booked online, that they booked with their ISA, that they booked with an agent. They're not going to attend them. I don't care if it's a FaceTime, Zoom appointment, in-person appointment, phone call appointment. They're not going to attend 50% of the time. And you can get mad about that, get upset at the leads, get upset at the world, or you can understand that's just the average and do your best to reach out to the other half anyway. Reach out to them anyway, because those leads are hand raisers and they are a more qualified lead than pretty much anyone else in that database, except the people that signed on the dotted line, obviously, right? But they are the next best thing to having someone meet with you in person. They're almost there. Something got in the way, right? And I cannot tell you, I do this on my own sales team, PowerISA. A good chunk of our daily follow-ups are with those unattended appointments, people that fell off the wagon, right? That did not make it. But it's more valuable to call them than the people that have not responded 15 times in a row. But I will grant you that. That's true. All leads are not made the same, right? You got to make those calls, but you should prioritize. Always prioritize your time. Having an ISA gives you more breadth to prioritize. You can make more calls. So you get down to those lower priority leads with the ISA. On your own time, it's next to impossible to make those calls. You're going to have these leaky funnels. You're going to have these really low conversion rates because you don't have enough time to put in the work to do what the teams are getting those 3 to 5% conversion rates are doing. And they're doing this. They're making sure they're tightening up that funnel as much as they can. Okay, cool. All right. So we're talking about, we've gone through number 1, 2, and 3, right? And that's been really focused on these inbound internet leads and database. 100%. It is. Purposely. Because here's the next one. We're going to hit number 4 and 5. And 4 and 5 are focused on the other thing you should be doing. And that is outbound prospect. Okay. Number 4, an ISA should be helping you in this market, helping you prospect around your own listings or around your own closed transactions, or if you have none of the above, around your target neighborhood that you want to have transactions. Okay. They should be helping convert. Every listing you get should get you another deal, at least another deal. Preferably in this market, another 2 transactions. They should, right? And even if you're not the listing agent, but you close the deal, that closing to generate okay? Really important. A properly marketed and prospected listing yields at least another transaction, potentially another 2 transactions. Really important. And there's several ways to do this, folks. It is about door knocking and calling around that listing and promoting it like crazy. If you're doing this the right way, it's going to generate more leads, it's going to generate more business for you. An ISA can help with this because they can make sure that 1,000 people around that listing are called, letting them know you just listed another property, yet another property in that neighborhood, right? They should be calling and inviting 1,000 of your neighbors to that open house. Or if you're having a neighborhood exclusive open house, I love those, right? Hey, it's going to be a little bit late in the day. Only neighbors can attend this open house. Those are great, right?
Yeah.
They should be calling them to attend that neighbors only open house. So you don't have the neighbors in the real open house, right? That's a great thing to do, right? You get to talk to a lot of confirmed homeowners, and you don't get them being nosy with the other like desperate buyers that are out there, right? So those are great. Make sure you use your ISA to do that. And I have clients that incorporate this into their listing presentation. Hey, I've got a calling team that all they do is prospect, looking for buyers for that property.
That's a
Asking
great,
the neighbors,
that's
the neighbor
great.
probably not going to buy the house, but they definitely know someone that loves that neighborhood. I guarantee you they do, right? So asking those neighbors for the referrals, those recommendations, who would you like to make your new neighbor, Mr. Seller? How about that? Potential seller, right? That's a great way to do it. And understanding that every transaction should turn into 1 or 2 additional transactions is going to change your mindset about it. Now it's, well, how do I do that, right? It's door knocking, it's mailers, another great one, and it's calling, prospecting around every single one of your listings, 100%. You want to get to the point, folks, that you're hitting some of these neighborhoods so hard, like, oh, Gus, it's you again. It is me. And guess what? I've got another listing in this neighborhood. This is crazy. Isn't it crazy? It is crazy. Thank you so much, right? That's where you want to get to. That's where you want them to recognize you. Your team is door knocked this neighborhood so many times. Oh, it's you guys again. I see you everywhere. That's exactly what you want to do, right? I see your open house signs in the yards every single weekend. That's exactly what you want them to see. Because when it comes time to sell that property, you want to be the obvious choice, right? The obvious choice because they just see you everywhere. And that doesn't happen by accident, right? Another way to do that is have your ISA help with those things. The ISA can't go hold the open house. The ISA can't do the door knocking. Well, a lot of times they can't, right? If it's virtual, they can't do it. So the ISA should help you make those calls, right? Make sure they're getting the most, squeezing all of the juice out of that listing to help you get 1 additional transaction. And once you're on it, you can get up to 2 additional transactions from every single one. And like I mentioned earlier, you don't have a transaction in that neighborhood. You don't have a buyer that bought a home in that neighborhood. Call the neighborhood anyway, because chances are, for some neighborhoods, guys, you have 3, 4, 5 buyers that are looking in the same neighborhood, right? This is common. The same school district, the same zip code, or down to the neighborhood level, right? The subdivision level. Make those calls. That's a great script as well. Hey there, Sandra. This is Gus with ABC Realty. I've got half a dozen buyers that want to move into that awesome neighborhood you live in, but I need some help. I need to find them some homes. Sandra, can you help me out here? Who do you know that might be thinking of relocating in the next few months? Anybody you might think of, right? Can really help me out. Oh, thank you for thinking about that. But Sandra, how about yourself? Have you ever thought of maybe relocating, getting something different, something larger, something smaller? Tell me about that, right? You want to make as many of those calls as possible. You want to. The more real estate conversations you and your team have on a daily basis, the better your business will be. That's just like a fun, it's like the law of gravity in real estate, right? The more people you talk to about real estate every day, the better your business will be. The ISA can help make that happen, okay? Really, really important. Number five. Okay, great. We've talked about speed to lead, relentless follow-up, working every aspect of that database in your funnel. We've talked about prospecting around your listings. That's also called circle prospecting, just listed, just sold. Now we're on to number 5. What can number 5 be? Gus, don't tell me it's expireds and FSBOs, because we don't have any. I'm not talking about expireds and FSBOs. I'm not talking about that, right? Although if you have them, That should be number 6. Like call those FISBOs and call those expired. Give them a call, right? So, but number 5 is they should, on top of prospecting around those neighborhoods and around those listings or buyers, they should be calling every other kind of potential seller in your community. And who is that? Number 1, absentee owners, right? Absentee owners, people that own properties and don't live there right now. Probably they're renting it out. Probably. It might even be alone, vacant, right? For whatever reason. So understand that that is probably the closest thing to low-hanging fruit that you're going to get in the super hot sellers market. Very few people are reaching out to them. But guess what, guys? This is catching on now. I've been talking about this since January. And more of my clients are doing this now, calling those absentee owners. So again, they're more saturated than they were in January, but they're way less saturated than those expired and those for sale by owner listings. Way less. So you have a much higher chance of talking to them. And any activity that can get you talking to a motivated seller, potential seller, confirmed seller, is a good activity in my opinion. So absentee owners is a really good one. If you haven't tried it, do it. All of the usual suspects have these lists, the red X's, the Vulcan 7s, the coal information, everyone has the absentee owner list. All of them have it, every single one. Red X is an LCA partner, check them out, I'll give you a deal. So find a way to do that, okay? Really important. The next kind of list your ISA should be helping you prospect are downsizers, right? What does that mean? People that have a certain age, 60, 65 and above, they're living in these areas, and a lot of them are already thinking about the next stage in their life, especially if they have like a 2-story home, right? I have older parents, they're in their 70s. Guys, stairs are like the worst thing ever now, right? They absolutely, if they could live in a 1-story with not even like everything's on like a little ramp and a slope, they'd be a lot happier, right? So that is important to those folks. And a lot of them are already thinking about, hey, should I move into a 1-bedroom apartment? They don't need a big house anymore. They might be thinking of a retirement community, assisted living community, nursing home, whatever it is. They are a group that have a really specific set of needs. And there's a few things about this demographic that I love. They're 20% of the market right now, 65 and above. And a lot of them own a lot of homes, folks. A lot of them own them free and clear. They don't have a mortgage anymore. They have a massive amount of equity built up in these properties, right? It's important. And guess what? And I love this about them too. They answer the phone a lot.
Yeah.
What else do you want, right? Make sure those calls are effective. This demographic answer the phone more. They are much more likely to have a landline, not just answer the phone. They'll have a landline in their home, right? Pick that up more often, have a conversation. If you're willing to have a conversation with them, nurture them, and serve them as a distinct community, you can really win. Because if you do a good job with them, they might have an extended family going to recommend you to. Oh my goodness, Gus is amazing. He helped me get the home sold and helped me with the move and helped me get the home fixed up. He is a full service realtor. Everyone should hear about that, right? And I love that. That's amazing. So definitely look into this downsizer community. A lot of these same tools have these lists. Give them a call, okay? Really, really important. And in addition, so I'm talking about these special, I call them specialty lists. Absentee owners, downsizers, and the list goes on and on, folks. You can have probates, folks that have inherited a property that they might not know what to do with. The property they might be living in another state and they own a home, particularly they own a home in your area, right? Give them a call, help them out and serve them. Folks that have recently filed for divorce, folks, for better or for worse, every divorce can generate 3 transactions. They might have to sell a home they own jointly and they both need to find a property to live, right? Another great one. So all these lists go on and on and on. I'm telling you, if you think FISBO and expired are too saturated, there's a lot of lists that no one's calling. No one's reaching out. Be the person to do it, and your ISA can help you out. All right.
Well,
that's it, folks. That is it. That's what we got. Those are 5 ways, probably more than 5 ways at this point. 5 ways an ISA can help blow up your business. I don't know if anyone want to drop any questions. Sandra, you have any questions? That's what we got.
Well, I was actually going to ask if anybody had any questions. They can certainly put that in the chat if they're able to. And also wanted to mention, Gus, are you able to hear me, Gus? I wasn't.
I'm having an issue kind of hearing you for some reason, but keep going, keep going. I'm just going to get closer.
Does that work?
Your audio is good, Sandra.
Go.
Okay, my audio is good. Okay, good. So yeah, I was actually going to ask a couple of, see if anybody had any questions. So let's see what we have. Well, first off, before I do that, let me just mention that you are having a special, right? You actually right now have 3 part-time ISAs available to start.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. Like if anyone wants to like go, take this, run with it, right? This option to get an ISA to help you do any one of these topics, any one of these tactics and strategies, we have 3 people, 3 part-time ISAs, 20 hours a week available to start tomorrow, right? Typically, folks have to wait 2 to 3 weeks to launch a campaign with us. Normal.
Gotcha.
normal. Right now,
So
because of how scheduling works, we have more of a chance to get people in there. 3 part-time ISAs ready to go tomorrow.
So one of the questions one of the attendees is asking is, what system would you use to merge your calls from an ISA? And then if your ISA is in a different location.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
So, I mean, the internet solves all these problems, right? So your ISA can be working remotely within your same city, or, you know, if you're working with PowerISA outside the country, and they just have a US number, right? Through a tool like Ring Central, which is one that I love a lot, we use it all the time, really easy to do that. And Ring Central lets you, your ISA make calls and receive calls out of a US number, and then forward it to you. Let's say like nights and weekends, they go to you if they ever get a call back. Or they go to a team. Like, hey, guess what? If Gus is up, you know, it's 8 or 9 p.m. at night, it rings everybody, right? If the ISA is off duty, then everybody gets that call. If the ISA is on duty, it rings the ISA. So you can have a lot of options with tools like Ring Central, call tools, call rail, or other ones. But Ring Central is one that's tried and true. It's really, really good, very reliable, like from a network perspective.
Gotcha. Great there. For you guys that are attending, if you want to just check out, Gus does have a special for LCA members, and there is a link in the chat, and then you should see that as well. If you have missed any of this webinar, you know, obviously, you know, you had to pop on a little bit late, or you know, obviously, if you had to leave early or whatever. Don't worry, because it is being recorded and we will have it available on YouTube shortly. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, and make sure you take advantage of all those specials that Gus has. But we thank you guys for attending. And if there's any more questions, then we certainly would like to help you. But for now, we will just sign off, right, Gus, and just take advantage of those.
Yeah. I saw one quick question from Yuri again.
Yeah.
Yuri,
Okay.
Ring Central.
Got.
Like,
Okay. Sorry, I didn't.
Ring Central, like Grand Central Station. Ring Central. That's the one I would start with because it's so reliable. But there's more. Call tools.
I'm gonna.
Yeah. Call tools. CALTOOLS. Call tools and call rail. Call rails number. Call tools and call rail. Those 3 will probably answer your any need that you have. And I would always start with Ring Central. That's such a tried and true solution. So 100%. All right, cool.
Gotcha. Great. Thank you, guys. We appreciate your attendance, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Gus.
Thanks.